This is the first video for 7.3 dealing with rational exponents. And there are some vocabulary words that we need to go over first. So the definition of a rational exponent is an exponent that can be written as a fraction. So basically you can take the exponent and no longer have a whole number, but it can be written as a fraction instead. Cube root you probably have heard of before, and that is when you raise something to the third power. And the nth root is if you raise something to any number higher than 3. We don't say quad root for 4. We say like 4th root, 5th root, 6th root as we keep on going. And then an exponential equation we're going to look at later on in this section. And it is an equation where the variables occur as exponents. So for that, there are going to be letters in where the exponents are. Okay, so for the first kind of example of what we're going to look at is we are going to look at when you have a number or a variable raised to the 1/2 power. This is considered a rational exponent because the exponent is a fraction. And basically what you're going to do is turn this into a radical. So b to the 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root of b. Okay, since it is the square root, you don't see a 2 being written there. But this is how, if I was going to color code this, the 1 goes there underneath the radical, and the 2 would go there in the little bitty corner. As a reminder though, if it is raised to the 1/2 power, you don't write any number in the corner. So it is just the radical. But if it was, let's say, b to the 1/3 power, you would have the base underneath the radical, and then this 3 would have to be written over there in the corner. If you take a look at your calculator, you have the square root button, and then you also have a button like that that has the X button on the calculator. That's the button you would use if you had anything higher than 2. So all we're doing is switching back and forth between an exponent and a radical. Okay, so for the first example, it says write each expression in radical form or write each radical in exponential form. So right now, this is an exponential form. We have 81 to the 1/2 power, and we need to write it in radical form. So I'm going to draw my radical. The base of 81 goes underneath, And then technically the 1 goes there and the 2 goes there, but we don't write the 1 and 2. So your final answer is just the square root of 81. Okay, for the next example, we have the square root of 38. So we want to write that in exponential form. So we need to write it with an exponent. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your base of 38, and then you're going to need a fraction as an exponent. But as the definition, you would have a 1 here and a 2 here. But remember, the 1 and the 2 aren't written in the original problem. So you would have 1/2 for the exponent. Okay, for this example, you have 12m to the 1/2 power. As a little side note, the exponent only goes to the base right next to it. So this 1/2 power only goes to that m. So the 12, we're just going to rewrite, and it's going to stay outside of the radical. And I'm going to draw my radical. Okay, the m is going to go underneath the radical, and then the 1 would go here, and the 2 would go here. But remember, we don't write the 1 and the 2. So your final answer would be 12 square root m. If you see, the 1/2 only goes to the m, so the m is the only thing underneath the radical. Okay, for this example, you have the square root of 32w. Since the 32 and the w are both underneath the radical, then the exponent goes with both of those. So we can write 32w, and then technically, remember, there's going to be a 1 and a 2 written here. So our answer, our exponent, would be 1/2. But since the 32 and the w are both underneath the radical, then this needs to have a parenthesis because the 1/2 needs to go to both terms. So this is different from the previous one where it just went to the 1 term. Okay, so a couple more examples. Write the square root of, or write 16 to the 1/2 power in radical form. So we're going to draw a radical. We'll put the 16 underneath. And technically there would be a 1 and a 2 there. So what is the square root of 16? It is 4. Okay, for 25 to the 1/3, you'll draw a square root, put the base of 25 underneath, and then since this 3 is different than the 2, the 3 needs to be written in the corner of that little gap, and then you can write the 1 if you want to. So it's the cubed root of 25. Okay, for the last one, we're going to go the other way and write this as exponential. So I'm going to have my base of 7, and then I need to have a fraction here. So the 3 would be the numerator, and the 4 would be the denominator. Okay, so this video is the first video that goes along with page 17, 1 through 9.